All right, welcome back inside. Talking about another solo game experience. Not just Branch and Claw, but the full Spirit Island box wouldn't fit in this size shelf, so we have just the little one. The way I store mine is I have all my Spirit stuff, so base game, Jagged Earth, and Branch and Claw, the Adversaries, and the little player discs, the Sweet Tarts, all in the little box because I love this box. I love this design. And then everything else in the main box. So yeah, Spirit Island was a game, just a little bit of backstory. Actually, for those of you who have watched the Root review, this is a game that sort of has the same timeline for me, which is to say, for a long time, I did not pay attention to it. Or rather, when I saw it, I was just like, no thank you. I'm still not the biggest fan of some of the art. A lot of it I do like, some of it I don't. There's a wide variety, and for a lot of people, I bet that's probably, part of the appeal. But I just let that influence my opinion, or rather prevent me from making an opinion, because that's not really. I do the same thing with food. I'm essentially a little kid in that people will say like, "Oh, you don't like insert food here," and I'll just straight up say no. And they'll say, well, have you had it like this? And I'll admit to them and be like, I've actually never had it. I just don't think that I would like it. And now that I'm an adult, I am unanimously met with eye rolling at that, which I totally deserve. That was the same thing with Spirit Island. For a long time, I did not think it was a game that would interest me, and I don't know why. It was the Cardboard Herald putting in some seriously good word about the game. So last June, I knew I was going to be away at a long course for the Army bands. And it's COVID times, so I was going to Virginia to be in a hotel room to do the class on site for some things, but mostly by myself. At the very least, I knew the evenings weren't going to be like me hanging out with the other people, which they normally are in those situations. So I got Spirit Island. I learned it. I was able to snag Branch and Claw, the last one in like this region, luckily, and learned it before I went and wound up playing between 1 and 3 games a day for the 10 days that I was there. And the rest is history. So let's get to actually reviewing this game before I give too much away. So remember, there's 3 categories I talk about here. Meatbag clarity, how much headspace the game takes up to actually, you as the human to play it. Whether or not it's a good way to learn the rules if you're interested in, transporting those to multiplayer setting. And then overall, how is the solo experience? So first of all, meatbag clarity. This is a first for the channel. I am going to give Spirit Island all the way from 2 thumbs up to 2 thumbs down. And that's not necessarily a judgment call. Think of that more like a spectrum, because personally, when I play solo, 1 spirit, so that's just 1 island board. I'm only now getting into the Adversaries, but even if I'm using them, they are at level 0, 1, or 2. You can double, triple, or even quadruple hand this game, and you can play with Adversaries up to level 6. You can also combine Adversaries in the new expansion. You can also have I can't remember what they're called, scenarios. You can have the scenarios on top of that. So this game can be like more than any other game that I've experienced. Spirit Island has just a tremendous amount of knobs and levers and dials that you can adjust to make exactly the mental challenge that you want it to be. Beyond that, all the spirits go from low complexity to now very high. So there's just a huge amount of variety. It is what you want it to be. But with 1 spirit, 1 island, and 0 or 1 adversary on relatively low settings, once you wrap your head around the rules of the game, especially starting off with low complexity spirits, they are what the name says. They get you into the game. pretty soon you're like, you know what, I want a spirit with more options. And now with the Jagged Earth Alliance, there are those extra cards that can make the low complexity spirits more complicated. So even that is available for you to adjust now too. Is it or is it not a good way to learn the rules for multiplayer? Pretty simple one, yes. I mean, it is, there are no changes. You're just doing one spirit. The only thing you need to keep in mind is any card that says, you know, you do something and then target spirit gets to do some other thing. You don't get to target yourself on top of, you know, what the card does by itself. Aside from that, there's very little, pretty much no changes from a multiplayer game to a single player game, aside from just fewer moving parts. So everything you learn, everything you get comfortable with in the single player game is 100% transferable to the multiplayer experience. So it's a great way to learn, and you can work your way through all the spirits. Just like in Root, playing it solo, you can have personal experience with what those factions feel like. So then you're a better teacher for other people who want to use them. And last but not least, solo experience. I'm going to give this one between 1 and 2 thumbs up. For the most part, it is a 2 thumbs up solo experience game, hands down. You know, my first playing of the game was by myself, was as a solo experience. I knew no other way of playing it. But once I did play it with other is the minority of games I've played multiplayer, the far minority. But once you do that, being able to talk around the table, and it's not like Pandemic or other co-op games where the actions are all laid out on the table. I mean, you could play with open hands, but it's the same thing like Sentinels of the Multiverse. Like if you want to play with your hands and you say, all right, who can do damage over here? Who can help me with this guy? It gives players a lot more agency. And there still is the threat of quarterbacking, as always with co-op games. But the fact that you have a hand of cards, that you are going to be choosing, you know, your growth options, that you're going to be, you know, adapting your spirit, that you're going to say, I can help with this. I can't do anything with that. The collaboration of the game really is cool once it gets up and running. And I feel like while currently I have no problem setting this game up and having a great time with just one spirit, just me against an adversary or in a scenario or whatever it may be, the more I play it with other players in the after times when we don't have to worry about all this stuff all the time, that might start to change. But currently it's between 1 and 2 thumbs up, leaning towards 2, because it's a great solo experience. It's deep, it's easy. The setup is a little bit complicated. I do now have a Plano box for all my bits, so that helps out a lot in setup and teardown. Yeah, it's just a wonderful, wonderful game. And the fact that I have none of the promos, again, missed the Cool Kids Club every time. So I'm missing 4 spirits, the first promo and then the second promo. I have 20 spirits still. Like last night, my wife and I taught the game to her for the first time, and she chose between the 4 low complexity spirits, which meant I had 16 other spirits to choose from, which is just wild. And they're all so different. There are 2 different spirits that are based off of stones that are the rock spirits, and they're completely different. It's just a wonderful, wonderful game. You know, I don't feel bad. Well, I feel bad that I missed the promos, and they go out of print immediately upon new printing. So I do feel bad about that. I don't feel bad that I held off as long as I did, because I'm having a blast with it now. And so better late than never, one of those things. So overall, Spirit Island, fantastic solo game. Yeah, go check it out. Thanks for stopping by. Got a lot of things in the works on the channel. Some playthroughs, some teaching, this review, and some other brand new things that might be coming out too. So we will see you guys here in the garage or in our living room next time. Bye, everybody.